that you're going to be able to reach your goals, and you're going to be able to get from wherever you are to wherever it is that you want to be. Today, I wanted to go live to the public for our Monday morning session to be able to talk about the recent NAR settlement, National Association of Realtors. So some of you may be aware of what happened on this past Friday. Some of you may not be. I'm going to share with you what happened, and I'm going to tie that into our mindset mastery so that we can understand how to think, so that we can then know how to act, so that we can then benefit from the changes. So before I jump into sort of what's going on in the world, what I want everybody to know is that we are at a pivot point right now in real estate sales. Things are changing. Things have already changed. It's playing out. There's some things that are unknown. We're going to talk about that today, and there's going to be some opportunity. We're going to talk about that today. And ultimately, the way that you think about change demonstrates whether if you're going to be successful, whether if you're going to be innovative, or if you're going to go and cry underneath of a rock. Okay, there's been changes before in our industry, and this is probably the most significant change that I've seen since I've been selling this since 2007. Yet, every single change creates opportunity. I want everybody here to know every single change creates opportunity. So when you start from a thought of every single change creates opportunity, then you can position yourself to, one, find what that opportunity is. I don't know what it is right now. I'm going to be transparent with you. I have some ideas. I'll share those ideas with you today, but I ultimately don't know exactly what those ideas, exactly what the benefit, what the opportunity is going to be. But I guarantee you what's going to happen over the next 18 months is there's going to be a lot of agents that are going to go out of business. And there's going to be a few agents who are going to thrive and benefit more than ever before. All right. So with that being said, what's going on? Let me share my screen with you. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Am I sharing the right screen? You guys see an NAR thing there? All right. On this past Friday, on March 15th, 2024, the National Association of Realtors agreed to pay a $418 million over 4-year settlement. Now, this has not been ratified or agreed to by the courts, right? So this is what's been proposed as a settlement. So what are they settling? Last year, in 2023, there was several actually class action lawsuits stating that the way that us real estate agents have been being paid is detrimental or hurts the consumer. Now, I strongly believe otherwise, and I'm going to give you some examples because there's going to be some unintended consequences, some unintended outcomes that are going to happen here, and I'm going to share that with you here. Has everyone see my screen, by the way? Can you guys see my screen? All right.
Yes, sir.
So, a little bit of history. Last year, Keller Williams settled for $70 million. RE/MAX settled for $55 million in September 23, and Anywhere settled for $83.5 million in October of 23. All right. So these are significant settlements. By the way, Anywhere is, if you're not familiar, they used to be called Realogy. That's Better Homes and Garden. It is Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Corcoran, ERA, and Sotheby's. And so that's who Anywhere is. And you may have heard them called Realogy before. They're actually the largest because they have that conglomerate of different brokerages, all of which you've heard. So this past Friday, NAR says we're going to give $418 million. Now that's for you as an agent, doesn't necessarily impact you dramatically because that piece of it, because they also say that the membership dues for 2024 will not change because of this payment. Well, that's great. And I don't know if that's reassuring or not, because what I don't see in there is 2025, 2026, 2027. That's all. Okay. So what the future of our memberships will be, we don't know. But guess what? We do know that Redfin, that RE/MAX, have all left the NAR and anywhere as well. Okay. So these are major brokerages who have said, hey, we're not going to participate with this any longer, or at least we're going to give our local brokerages a choice of whether they're going to be a realtor or not. Okay. So what you're going to see is you're going to see less brokerages participating with the National Association of Realtors and the local associations. We've already seen that come to play. And you're going to see higher cost that the NAR are agreeing to. So how does that impact us as agents? Again, as I mentioned to you in the preamble, there's a lot of things that I just don't know, and nobody knows. But I think it's smart for us to recognize the things that will impact us. Will that have an impact on us as agents? I would say certainly yes. It will certainly have an impact on us if we belong to a lobby, and that lobby has increased expenses and decreased income. Decreased income because there's less people, less brokerages participating, increased expenses because of the lawsuit. Does that mean that the NAR, reorganizes, goes out of business, increases our dues, or all of the above? I don't know, but there will be an impact. Now, what's more impactful to you as a real estate agent, more than that $416 million, is the fact that what part of the agreement is. And again, this agreement has not been agreed upon by the courts. It's just a proposed settlement. The offers of compensation could continue to be an option to be able to pay each other. But what we're not able to do is we're not starting in July. What's been proposed is to offer compensation in the MLS. So NAR has agreed to put in place a new MLS rule prohibiting offers of broker compensation on the MLS. All right, that right there is the biggie. This would mean that offers of broker compensation could not be communicated via the MLS, but they could continue to be an option consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. Well, oh, by the way, our commissions have always been negotiated. Okay, so that in theory doesn't really the only thing that really truly is changing is that the MLS will no longer publish the compensation. All right, because offers of compensation, this is more about the NAR talking about, offers of compensation help make professional representation more accessible, decrease costs for the home buyers to secure these services, increase fair housing opportunities, and increase the potential buyer pool for sellers. Now, I agree with all that. And I agree with all that because when you look at what will the future be? The future is going to be something along the lines of, first of all, does the consumer need representation as a buyer? I believe strongly. I believe that we have a fiduciary care. And if you don't remember what fiduciary is, it's old car, right? Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, reasonable care, due diligence, and then with the customers, fair and honest, and that's what you owe to your clients and to your customers. Okay, so you owe it to your client, to your buyers, to be able to represent them. You owe it to your client to be able to help negotiate on their behalf. You owe it to your buyers, your buyer client, to be able to represent them so that they stay out of trouble. So could somebody go on, Zillow or any of the other, online brokerages or whatever the case may be, find a home? I mean, that's the way things are done today, right? Like our services as real estate brokers has changed and evolved over the years as well. Once upon a time, the real estate agent had all the data. That is long ago changed. The consumer has the access to the data the same way as you as a real estate agent does. But the difference is the way that you help a consumer, the way that you protect the consumer, your experience. Because in my opinion, and this is an opinion, I'm going to say this is a fact. The consumer having access to information with a lack of experience of what to know about it, what to know about the market trends, what to know about negotiations, what to know about disclosures, disclaimers, what to know about what to do in a transaction. But they have the data of, hey, here's this home for sale. And now they hear in the public, they hear, okay, well, what are they hearing? Well, let's take a look at what they're hearing. Let's go back to my screen here. Powerful Realtor Group agrees to slash commissions to settle lawsuits. The 6% commission is gone on buying or selling a home after seismic settlement, etc. I was at a club on Friday night, and I met this new guy, new couple, and I'm talking to the guy. He's a retired advertising agent from New York City. I'm in the beach, and I meet with this guy. This is like 5 hours after this happened, and he asked me 5 hours, just a random guy that I'm talking to. Hey, he's like, "What do you do?" I sell real estate. Well, what do you think about the settlement? Literally 5 hours after the settlement happened. So the media is presenting it to the consumer in a way that's not quite accurate. But guess what? Perception is reality, whether it's valid or not. So the consumer is hearing that, hey, I no longer have to pay commission. All right, so now there's all kinds of challenges with what I just said there. But again, remember, we can focus on the pain or we can focus on the opportunity. That's your choice. What my job today is just to sort of throw it all out there so that you can understand what the reality of what we're dealing with is. Okay? The only thing that's really changed to impact you is the fact that no longer can we put in the MLS what we're getting compensated. But guess what? We still get compensated. It's just how do we get compensated? Okay? Does that mean that the agents are taking a listing at X% and then you're calling me the listing agent if you're a buyer agent and say, hey, Dan, how much are you going to pay me? There's probably going to be a bit of that. Is that functional? Not at all. Right? Like it's just not functional, right? So that's an unintended consequence. Does that mean that maybe some smart lender says, hey, because it says in the settlement that there can be subsidies? Does that mean that some smart lender says, well, what if I pay the commission for the buyer's agent and disclose it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? By the way, that's my prediction of what will happen. Is that a possibility of something that could happen? Absolutely. Would that benefit the consumer? Not in my opinion. Not at all. Not at all, because guess what happens if that lender says to you, the agent, hey, I will pay you, Mr. Agent, Miss Agent, I'll pay you if they do this loan. Do you think that somebody's paying for that? It's just taking the money and just shifting it somewhere else that's less transparent, that's actually going to present something that's going to be worse than better. Okay? How else can we potentially get compensated? Fixed fee commission paid directly to the consumers. So there could be brokerages that say we're going to pay X amount of a fixed fee commission to any that's paid from the consumers. There could be a concession from the seller. A portion of the listing broker's commission can be paid as well. This is all outlined in the settlement. Again, portion of the listing agent's commission. Does that sort of look like it looks like today? It's exactly how we get paid today. Or it could be directly from the buyer. Can you get paid from the buyer today? Absolutely. Is it common? Not so much. Okay. So there's a lot of different moving parts in here. And the reality of this is that nobody knows. But here's what I want you to understand. From all that, okay, that's what's going on. Now, what the hell do you do about it? Well, first of all, I want you to recognize that in any consumer society, in any consumer ecosystem, when you provide value, when you contribute, when you serve, when you educate, when you are able to help somebody, you get paid. So how does that happen? I'm not sure. But what I am positive about is that when we put our consumers' interests in the front and we're more concerned about helping the buyers, than we are about how we're going to get paid, you'll get paid. I guarantee it. Before I started selling real estate in 2007, I was a waiter at one of the most established steakhouses in the world, where all the lobbyists and the senators and all the famous people would go there, football players and boxers and actors, and everybody would go there. And there was two types of waiters that worked in that steakhouse. There was the type of waiter who was worried about how much money they got paid. And there was a type of waiter, such as myself, that worried about how can I make certain that this consumer, this restaurant consumer, has the best dining experience of their life. I never worried about my tips. As a result, in 2006, I made more than $150,000 in tips. Okay, that was in 2006. Today's numbers, that's like two and a quarter, something like that at least. Okay, as a waiter. Why did I make that much money? Because I always focused on the consumer. How can this person have the best dining experience of their life? So what I'm encouraging for you to do is to focus on how can I help the consumer. The details will get worked out. The logistics will get worked out. You can focus on right now the blah. You can focus on right now the noise. You can focus right now on the problem. Or you can focus on the plan. Now, granted, we don't know exactly what that plan may be, but we know some options for it, which I just discussed. And we also know what's detrimental, what's vital, is that you focus on providing care to your consumer. You focus on negotiating on their behalf. You focus on representing their interests. You focus on educating them. You focus on communicating with them, being in rapport with them, asking them adept questions, and actively listening so that you can serve. Because when you do that, just like that waiter who I never looked at my checks. When I picked that check up from the table, I never looked at the tip, ever. Because I already did every single thing that I could. I would take that little slip, I'd put it in my pocket. At the end of the shift, I'd pull them all out. I'd add it up. I'd pay my bus boys. I'd take the rest and I'd go home. And I'd pay taxes on the rest of the cash. Just in case if anybody's tracking me. So that's what I focused on at that time. And that's what I'm encouraging for you to focus on today. I want you to focus on how do I take great care of my people? How do I teach them to sell? How do I teach them about the process of what to expect? And by the way, what should the buyers expect? Well, let me walk you through the process, Mr. Buyer. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to qualify you with a lender. I've got a great lender who specializes in X. He's got the best rates in terms of the business. I wouldn't mind introducing him to you. And then you take your phone out. So this is when you meet a buyer. These are the steps that you're going to learn in the CPI community, by the way. These are the steps for those of you here that you're already learning. And you're learning these to the effect that you can teach these to somebody else. Okay, so what is the process? What is the process that you could choose to be able to follow for the buyer specifically? Let me walk you through that. I teach the 80-20 buyer consultation. Step one of the 80-20 buyer consultation is you have a consultative conversation with a buyer for the purpose of understanding what their needs are and understanding what their goals are and understanding what their ability to buy is. When you get off the phone with them during that conversation, you introduce them to a lender and you set up a video consultation for the next piece. And you film a video on your phone. Mr. Buyer, Dan Roshan, it was a pleasure to meet with you. Just wanted to put a name with a face. I look forward to meeting with you and the Mr. tomorrow at 3 p.m. online on a video Zoom conference. As you do that, you send that video to them. You text them, hey, Mr. Buyer, it's great to meet with you. I look forward to helping you. You send them a calendar invitation. Hey, Mr. Buyer, I look forward to helping you. You send them a text to the lender. I gave you the script of how to introduce them to a lender. Mr. Lender, Mr. Buyer, I've got a lender who specializes in X. He's got the best rates in terms of the business. I wouldn't mind introducing him to you. And you introduce them to the buyer, to the lender. You make that text introduction. You give the lender a call. Mr. Lender, I want to make sure you see Rachel. I just introduced her to you. Please give her a call. And that lender will give that buyer a call. You then go and you do a video consultation. And during that video consultation, you go through and you walk them through what to expect. You consult them. Does this sound different than maybe what you've done in the past? Maybe in the past, you just showed up at the doorstep. Okay? This is how you can increase your income in this time right now. During that video consultation, you go through and you tell them about the expectations. You share with them, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go out and we're going to look at some homes. We'll probably go out to maybe 2 showings. Those 2 showings or less, we'll be able to find the home of your dream. And we're going to look at some homes online and we're going to actually look at them on a video rather than in live, out in the field. We're going to look at them in the video. And as we look at them in the video, we're going to select our top 3 to 6. We select the top 3 to 6. And now I'm going to call the agents to make sure I set up the showings for those, etc. And then you continue having the conversation with them. You tell them about the obstacles in the market. Mr. Buyer, a few days before closing, we're going to do what's called a closing disclosure. That's 3 days before closing. And about a week before then, the lender's going to be asking you for all kinds of nonsense. And guess what? You may be in a position that that you've got to be able to provide them documents that you've already provided them. And guess what? That may be frustrating to you. Backtrack a little bit, Mr. Buyer. We go out, we look at homes, we find the home of your dream, we write an offer, we negotiate that. I'll explain to you exactly what that negotiation looks like. And then we go ahead and we get under contract. Within 3 days from there, we're going to do a home inspection. That home inspection, you're going to be anxious. You're going to be fearful. You're going to be second guessing yourself. And now the home inspector is going to come out and they're going to say, boom, there's 100 things right here that are wrong with that home 100% of the time. You're going to go ahead and you're going to negotiate because there's 100 things. And what we're going to be most concerned about are the big rocks. So what are the big rocks that we're going to be concerned about? The things that are going to save you money. Now, that's just a small little bit of how you could choose to be able to consult. I don't have time to go through every single step of consulting, but I gave you 3 steps of a 13-step process that we teach in the CPI community to be able to understand some things that you can do to be able to set their expectations. When you consult your buyers, go back to that waiter. Do you think that you're going to be able to earn a living? Do you think that as all this shakes out with NAR, that you'll be able to figure out how to be able to make a living, and not only how to make a living, but I believe that for the smart agent that puts the buyers first, you'll make more money than what you ever did before. What are your ahas? What are your observations? What are your comments? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings about what I'm sharing about with you today? Who'd like to share?
I love it. I have one agent. I have one agent I'd like to attract. And what I'm going to do is we're going to watch this video replay together. And I think she would be afraid to do the listing challenge, but she was complaining that in her company, which has a big major name, there's never any training. And I've been telling, we've got awesome training. Dan Rochon is at the top of the list.
Thank you, Dorothy, for sharing that. Today, by the way, www.5daylistingchallenge.com at noon Eastern time. We start, speaking of listings, right? Because here's the thing. That's how to help. That's how to strive as a buyer's agent. But guess what? I still want to go take some listings. But I still want to go take some listings yesterday. I still want to go take the listings a year ago, 10 years ago. Listings is the name of the game. It always has been. It always will be. We're talking about buyers today, but if you want to know how to take listings, join me for the free event at www.5, that's the number 5daylistingchallenge.com. Who'd like to share next? What are your ahas? What are your thoughts? What are your comments?
Can I add, please?
Yes.
I'm going to be there today. And the last thing is, there's a young couple with a 2-year-old boy in my building. I live in a condo building. And I said, oh, I bet you'd be looking for a single family house with a swing set in the backyard. yeah, but the rates are too bad and blah, 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 blah. And so I said, oh, okay, that's cool. And I said, look, I wouldn't be the agent serving you, but I know the best agents in every town. If you let me know, I will be here to help you. And I can do whatever you want and need. And then I looked at the guy and I said, you look really tired. And he said, yeah, I'm working 7 days a week. I got, I do my tech job and then I do surveying on the weekends. And he's 30 max, and he looked like he was about to fall over. And so I am being their friend. Their little boy's 2 now. He's climbing all over the place. And he started to do a little dance. So I did a little dance with the kid. And I keep thinking, Dan, I'm really slow at learning what you're saying, but I think I'm beginning to catch on. I was being with them and looking out for their interests and reassuring them without thinking, how are you going to pay me? That was not a part of it. It was, how can I serve you? So thank you for that.
You're welcome. How can I be with them? How can I serve you? How can I help? Thank you, Dorothy. Who'd like to share next? What are your ahas? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your questions? What are your concerns? Who'd like to share? What are your ahas? Diana, what you got?
I agree with Dorothy entirely, especially the first comment that she made. This is perfect. This is great information. I've tried to follow the details that were put out there, and you presented it from every perspective. Like it was perfectly worded. Thank you.
You're welcome. And just for clarity, I presented from every perspective that I perceive, and there's a whole heck of a lot I did not present. So I encourage for everybody watching this to do a little bit more deep diving, as I'm going to do as well. And there's a lot to be determined. Okay. And where the opportunity is I don't know. But I guarantee you, there's an opportunity in front of us. And that opportunity is going to be for the innovators. That opportunity is going to be for the action takers. That opportunity is going to be for the people that take action. That opportunity is going to be for the people that see this as an opportunity rather than the sky is falling. I guarantee it. Is that going to be you? That's your choice. Or are you going to go on to Lab Coat Ages and bitch and moan and groan? Or go on to the CPI, Facebook group and bitch and moan and groan? That's up to you. One more aha. We got time for one more. Quickly.
I think everything you said was great too. And yeah, it's already popping out. Like, yesterday I was getting calls from people. So what's this mean? And did you include this in my listing or, my commission or whatever? So I think we're going to have a little just nutshell speech to be able to give a lot of people until we see how this unfolds. But basically what I've been telling them is, it's negotiable. It's always been negotiable. And this is how I do it. I don't know how.
Can I give you that nutshell speech?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed, Mr. Consumer, is that we just don't, the way that we advertise the commission. So here's the commission that we're charging Mr. Seller. And we will still offer a portion of that to the buyers. And the way that we advertise that to the buyers is going to be different than what we did in the past. Sign here, here, and here. Thank you. And I'm grateful to be able to serve you.
Do you think that's going to, I would think that we as realtors will continue to do that. And that will kind of be the trend. But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Some of the details that will shake themselves out. But for right now, nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is the way we advertise commission. That hasn't changed yet either. That won't change till July if the courts ratify it. But so for us, nothing's changed. And as long as you reassure the consumers and you don't dwell on it and you keep moving on, you'll be fine. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have the best day of your life. Be grateful. Make good choices to go help somebody. If you've not yet registered for the 5-day challenge, do so today, www.5daylistingchallenge.com. Go take a listing. God bless you.